Cool. Thanks for being here tonight. This will be awesome. This is, I think, our third sales training of the year. We have a pretty good group that's actually in Vancouver, Washington tonight, doing something like this. So Cam Cheney's got his group out there. What's up, guys? So we're a little bit lighter tonight, but this will be awesome. If you're new here, my name's Parker. I'm the VP of Sales, and kind of in charge of recruiting and training all of our reps. We're gonna have some other guys doing the training tonight, so I'm excited to turn it over to them here in a little bit. But I'm gonna do a couple announcements just to start. So tonight we will be covering the initial approach, inciting a response, and then just kind of like briefly talking about objections. You guys good? Okay. And so basically just the first couple seconds with the customers what we're gonna be talking about tonight when the door comes open. So housekeeping, if you're hired and not on Slack yet, please get on Slack. There's gonna be a lot of things coming now with housing and with getting pictures for summer stuff that we need you on Slack for. So if you're not on Slack, you should have gotten an email from Theron and it's got an invite. You just hit the link and it'll like add you to our channels for Slack. Gusto is how you're gonna get paid. So please get on Gusto. Badge photos. Theron, do you want to share or add anything here just on this piece? Because a lot of this applies to you.
Yeah. So there's when you sign your paperwork, you should have gotten a text with a link to the onboarding survey. So there's a Google form, and it's going to walk you through all these different steps. So that's kind of why we set it up. But you'll get emails inviting you to everything. My man Tyler did it all really fast. So Tyler Cole, everybody, that's my guy. But some people have not done it yet who signed like months ago. So you probably just missed it, but this doesn't sound familiar. Make sure you check with me, just DM me on Slack and I'll send you the link. But it's so that we can get you into all of our systems. So when it's time to sell, you're ready to roll. And one of the things we need for everybody is a photo. So if you haven't gone through that, there's a link to upload a photo of yourself, and then we'll use that on our dashboard on our website that shows everybody's numbers for the summer, and then we'll do it on your badge that you wear. So we use the photo for a lot of things. We use it for social media as well. So we want you to be able to pick your picture so you can send it to us. But
yeah, this goes without saying, but just make sure that photo is professional. Like if you're looking not professional, you'll have customers that are a little bit nervous about you, and one of the things that they're gonna like want to see is like your badge, and if you pull up your picture and you look like a little boy or something, then it doesn't help. So good professional picture against a white wall.
Yeah. And then start dates. You have a start date in your paperwork that you would have put in there. That was probably your best guess at the time. But we are starting to book housing now, so we want you to circle back and confirm your start date and make sure that is the date you will be starting your housing. Because if we don't get a different date from you when we book your housing, you're financially responsible for the date you gave us. And so you'll just pay for rent during those dates, even if you're not there. So just make sure that if you're like, oh, it turns out I'm coming out a week later or whatever, just give us that new date as soon as you can.
Yeah, I was looking through some of these, and I even just like noticed that there's some dates that I think are wrong just from what I know. So if you have paperwork done, go back and look at the dates that you put on there initially, and then just communicate that. If there's any adjustments, just communicate it to there.
And part of the problem is it defaults to May 1st if you don't put a date in there. So a lot of people just says May 1st. It's probably just default.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks there.
Yep.
We've been doing a recruiting incentive. We have like a day or two left on that, but January's been an awesome month. We're adding reps and on our way. We're almost at 200 reps hired. It's going to be our best year ever, and it's an amazing time to be at Point. So anyway, there's a group going to dinner at Ritz Chris on Friday night, and then a hockey game. So that'll be fun. Next week, we'll do the Rexburg Cedar training. So again, if you're new, we kind of do this rhythm of we meet here every 2 weeks, and on the off week, some of us go to Rexburg, and then others of us go to Cedar City. So those are kind of our big training hubs. And so, yeah, if you're zooming in tonight, you may be in one of those spots, and we'll be there in person in a week. Next one here will be February 12th. We have a leadership training in the middle of February, and then summer housing, which Theron already talked about. but dates is probably the biggest piece on that one. So just communicate through Slack. So if you're not on Slack, again, there's a problem with that, but through Slack, Darren's gonna be communicating with you on your housing stuff. So get dialed in with that. If you're on this, we got a Leslie sitting here. But yeah, anyway, this is all of our reps signed so far to come out this year. It's gonna be an awesome year, and we're looking to continue to grow and hire, and so bring friends. We have a blitz next week in Phoenix, Arizona. So this is mainly for veterans, but in 4 or 5 days, we'll be selling our first accounts of the year, which is awesome. So
You're selling in Arizona, raise your hand.
yeah, let's go. That'll be fun. So I have flight Sunday, and I'll meet you there, and I'm excited. Brian's selling pest control next week. Let's do it. Yeah, so our partner there is called Greenleaf. They're a super established company, one of the biggest companies in Arizona. But we're really excited about that. So we have a couple Airbnbs for housing. We'll be ready for you, and we're excited to go get our first accounts of the year in Arizona this next week. So, and then if you're on this list, then you're on kind of the naughty list, and we need you to get some stuff done for your onboarding. So it's a call to repentance. Okay, and then this is my last slide, but this is an important one, so pay attention to this one. So we do a travel bonus for our rookies to help them get to their locations in the summer. And a lot of companies don't do that. I think it's pretty generous. Like we basically help you get to your spot wherever you're selling. But we're only willing to do that if you take these trainings seriously. So it's not a gift, it's basically a bonus if you'll show up and come to trainings. So showing up is part of it, but you need to be able to check things off and actually listen at these trainings and become somewhat competent, right? Last time when I was up here, I talked about kind of your off-season rhythm that you need to get into. And so part of that is like practicing with the manager and, doing some role plays and getting competent. So anyway, these are the things. And we're gonna post a PDF on Slack, and it'll be pinned and in our library. So you'll be able to find this in our training library, but these are the things that you'll need to check off in terms of going out for summer. So your regional manager, we have 4 regional managers this summer or this year. Whoever your regional is will kind of do like a pass off thing to make sure that you're qualified and ready to roll in terms of this stuff. So any questions on that? So in a month or 2 from now, as summer's getting closer, just know, hey, I need to revisit this and make sure that I'm comfortable with all these points, because this is what I'm going to be quizzed on, and this is the stuff that driving out to my market, I need to feel comfortable with. And if you'll do this, then like your first day, there's a pretty good chance that you'll make some sales. And that's the power of this is if you take the training seriously, then you can spend your first couple of weeks earning. Otherwise, you're just going to be learning and you're wasting time, So, sweet. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Parker and Carter. Are you guys kind of doing teaching it? Sweet. So let's give them a big hand.
Cool. Yeah, give it up for Darren and Parker. They run the show for us for sure. Well, we're gonna do a slight review of our last training, and then we're gonna dive into kind of the first critical steps of a sale. So, kind of kick that off. We talked about communication filters last time. Is there any new rep with us that's confident that they've been able to remember the communication filters? Does anybody know them? Definitely nonverbal, verbal, and metaverbal. Yeah, 100%. So there's 3 main communication filters. You have nonverbal, you're gonna have metaverbal, and then verbal. I want a lot of participation tonight, so I'm gonna actually turn it back to you guys. Can somebody break down like what your nonverbal communication looks like? What are a few things that we look for?
Right. It's like your body language, how you're standing, where you're standing.
Yeah, your body position, body language. Awesome. What about metaverbal?
It's the way you're talking, how fast or slow you speak, kind of your pitch and just how you sound.
What would an example of like pitch be? You describe pitch.
Just steady to the point, not exaggerating a bunch of stuff, and then just maybe going a little bit higher or lower at big key points.
Yeah, 100%. So, what he's talking about with like maybe a high point or a low point is commonly when we communicate like for questions, we're gonna up pitch at the end of a question. And then when we're saying a statement, we're gonna down pitch. When you switch those, right, if you start having an up pitch during your statement, it's gonna sound like a question to the customer. So it's really important to, when you are working with your leader, to have them help you with your pitch. And then I won't quiz you guys, verbal's really easy. That's just what you say. The places that those are placed are these three locations. So the number one way we communicate as people is going to be nonverbal, and then the next biggest is metaverbal.
Okay, now let's review the sales cycle. What's the first two steps to our sales cycle? Maybe to a rookie. I want to hear a rookie chime in. Anyone remember? Sierra. Yep, initial approach. Okay, second step. Sierra. Insider response. Okay. Can a veteran tell me when this happens in the sale? When does the initial approach and the insider response happen? Jonas?
The initial approach is the first 4 seconds.
Yep.
And then insider response is like that first question.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep, so it's the first impression that we're giving to a customer when we knock on the door, right? And how about inciting a response? Why do we incite a response? Why do we not just like give the customer all the information they need to make a decision? Carter.
The longer you ramble on, it gives them more time to figure out how to get you off their door.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, what's the next step?
Oh, jumped to it. Sorry.
Overcoming objectives, right?
That kind of quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people will have questions, and usually they're not just gonna buy right off the bat, right when you knock on the door. And so objections are really good. They're a way for us to answer maybe concerns or questions that they might have. And then you can click the next one. Yeah. Okay, and then we present, which is the inspection part of the sale. What are the 3 steps of the inspection?
Need, value,
Need, value, urgency, right? Okay, so need, if we break down need is why they're buying pest control. So they either have bugs currently that they need to get rid of, they need to prevent bugs, or they're buying on a trend, right? Value is how we're filling that need. It's our service or how we're solving the need. And then urgency is we're there right then, like do business with us now. And then what's closing? That's the last step.
getting the funnel, getting them to actually take this on.
Yeah, so we're pushing the sale forward, right? When we close for business, we're pushing it forward. So great. So some objectives, you can click through all these. So learn and practice. If you guys don't have your phones out ready to take notes, I'd invite you to do so today. A lot of this stuff, I'm sure a lot of you guys have practiced already or are currently practicing with your managers. But the people that do the best at this job soak up all the information they can in these trainings. So make sure to, and then after as well, we will be giving like 30 minutes to practice with our managers in groups. We'll actually be doing some practicing today. And then the last part, we will be covering our first objection too, which is super exciting.
Yeah, today.
You click through all of
them. So today we're going to be going over the initial approach. This is going to be that very first 4 seconds of your interaction with the customer. A couple key points for, your initial approach is, has a lot to do with how you look, how your body is positioned, and then your ability to mirror and echo, the customer. But just wanted to open it up. Why do you guys think, your first impression is going to affect, your sale with that customer, your interaction with that customer?
You have a lot higher chance if they're in a good mood and a lot lower chance if they're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
So if you make them pissed off, it's second.
Yeah, you lower your odds, right? I think that's a huge part is, sales is a transfer of energy, right? And so we want to have a really good energy on the door and allow them to feel that right off the bat. But also there's a huge stigma behind sales, and typically when people think of salesmen, it's not like the prettiest image. So we're at a loss right off the bat. We're randomly knocking on these people's door. So what we want to do is build, what's the word I'm looking for?
Credibility.
Credibility. There it is. I wanted to say confidence,
Yeah.
but we show confidence and they gain credibility. So I think this is a huge part of what can separate a good rep from a great rep is being able to have confidence on the doors and make them feel like you're credible. So you're gonna do that by dressing the part. This is David Williams. He was he holds the record for the biggest summer point. But yeah, he's cleaned up, doesn't look like a scrub. His shirt's tucked in, good shorts on, nice walking shoes. Is there anything about body position that you guys can notice from that picture?
Pretty much like a mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point. In this picture specifically, he's actually mirroring the shoulders of that customer. What else? I think I had a hand in the back.
I guess he's standing to the side. He's not like facing forwards, kind of just like, I guess like it would be a lot more intimidating if he was right up in the first like, yeah, in his face.
Yeah. He's not squared up to the door, and so he's not in like an aggressive position. He's very relaxed, very chill. And then mirroring and echoing. Can anybody define mirroring and echoing for me? Yeah, let's hear it from you again. I love it.
I guess if it's like, I mean, like an old lady, if like you kind of like punch down, like mirroring them, like
Yeah.
kind of copying them in a way,
Yeah.
make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, so mirroring is going to be the physical side of it, right? So if she's hunched, you're going to hunch a little bit. If it's a bodybuilder, you're going to stand up nice and tall. Echoing is going to be the verbal side of it. So you're going to talk like grandma or talk how you would talk to your grandma, right? Or if it's bodybuilder, you're going to talk to him like the bro. So those are really important just to become like the customer. Cool. And then the actual initial approach. So now this is going to be the verbal side on what we're actually saying. And it's in two parts. So the first one here is the name drop. And it's going to be, hey, I just got done working over at Lens. And then the second is going to be, has anyone been by to let you know what's going on? Good question would be, why do you think this name drop is useful as like the first bit of information you give that customer?
It's similar to you instead of creating like this distance between the people.
Yeah.
You and the group.
Yeah. Typically neighborhoods are close. I remember growing up, like all the time, my parents were playing cornhole or other horseshoes was really popular, I guess, when I was growing up, but they were playing horseshoes and stuff with the neighbors. And my parents actually bought from door to door people several times, mainly because they knew other people were getting security systems at the time and other things in the neighborhood. So people buy because their neighbors have also bought. And if you know a neighbor's name, it's going to make you seem really credible right off the start. The next one is to engage them. So you're going to immediately engage them and say, has any of the neighbors filled you in on what's going on? The typical response there is going to be no.
I have one last, I guess, like kind of trick question for everyone. What if you don't have a name drop? Like, what if there's not a customer close by? Yeah,
Like a street,
love it.
street nearby.
Street name.
What else? I wanna hear.
Yeah.
Does anyone have another thought on what else you could use outside of street name and then a customer name?
Sometimes you're in like a private community, the community has a name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like private, like my neighborhood, I don't even know what it's called, but. Shouldn't work on me, but our neighborhood has a name, a lot of times people know what their neighborhood's called, but, that's the whole point, is like, people feel they wanna, there's this fight or flight thing going on, right? And they're nervous about you, they don't know who you are. An actual person is like the optimal, it's the best thing, because like, if you're actually doing work with a neighbor, it's just extremely powerful, right? But if you can give them a street name or the name of the golf course that they live on and that you're working on, the name of the neighborhood, any of that stuff, Stillwater, what it's called, Stillwater. Like if someone knocked my neighborhood and said, or my house and said, hey, I'm doing a ton of work in the Stillwater community, I do work with Bob across the street, I would be like, okay, that's legit.
This guy knows what he's
Yeah,
talking
he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, another good one would be landmarks like lakes. You can mention the lake name if they live on the lake. A lot of bugs are associated with lakes and rivers and different things, and so that it's actually a really good sign that they have pest activity on as well. Cool.
Now you have to go through them.
Yes. To improve that. There we go.
Cool. And then you can go on to the next one. So inciting response, so we have two different responses or inciting responses. I'll go over the first one, which is our discount phrase. Can I get someone up front to read this for me? Go ahead.
Perfect. My trucks are in the area doing the pest control. If we can fit you in, we can treat your home for about half off.
Okay, cool. So there's a few different things that we could pick out from this. This is a very intentional phrase that we're asking the customer. But what message does this convey to our customers when we knock on the door?
A little bit of like urgency, like that you guys are there and ready to go, so.
Yeah, you can definitely pick that out. Like my trucks are already here, right? And then you're also including fit you in, right? Okay. Yeah, really good. Any other thoughts? Okay, yeah.
Like incentivizing it with the discount.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about this last time, but why do people love Black Friday? Why do people shop on Black Friday?
Because it's like urgent, they feel like they need to buy it. as soon
Yeah.
as possible.
So yeah, we're trying to create that same feeling on the door. So it's urgent, right? It's how many days is Black Friday? It's one day, right? It's limited. There's limited availability for whatever product you want. So we're trying to create that same message here. So I'm actually going to role play this first part, and then Parker will do our other one.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm going to be starting up a ton of work here on Highland Drive tomorrow morning. Have any of the neighbors told you what's going on?
No, they haven't. What's up?
Yeah, my truck is going to be in the area doing the pest control for a ton of homes. If I could fit you in, it would be super cheap.
Okay, how much is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very good, give him a hand.
Buy from him, lay down.
Oh,
Lay
yeah.
down.
Yeah, that's how you get people to buy from you right there. Just, yeah, let's open it up. What did Carter do in that you guys noticed or that stood out to you?
He was like nodding his head when he wanted that like response, like a yes response.
What else?
He like pointed where he was doing sales, he was like over there.
Yeah, it's very confident, right? Like, oh yeah, your neighbor, like, right here. Yeah, cool. Any other thoughts? Noah?
Great body language.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. I mean, and to Noah's point there, Carter isn't standing in a way that like makes him look uncomfortable. Like Carter was very comfortable up here. It's uncomfortable to do that in front of a ton of people. Carter did a really good job at like just keeping it very mellow. So.
Thanks, bro.
How about the speed? Like what did the speed feel like? Yeah.
slow and steady.
Yeah, it wasn't like, again, when you think of like the negative vibes of a salesperson, what do you think of? Like zippy, like fast, right? That was like, I'm just here to inform you. I'm like I'm almost like a teacher. Like, hey, I'm just here to let you know I'm doing work with Bob, your neighbor, as he talked, like it's just, educational.
Come off as a messenger.
Yeah.
Cool, so that is one option for inciting a response, and now we have one other option that we also teach, and a lot of that has to do with, situational selling. Will somebody read just that little sentence for me? Tanner?
A flexible approach to selling based upon the customer's needs and pain points.
Why do you think being flexible is important in sales?
It's not a one plus fits all sign.
What would get Parker to buy pest control might be different than.
Wait.
Tanner would buy.
Dang, what time
Some
is it in Utah?
people might be buying to do a preventative service on their phone. Some people might be buying to do.
Oh, I'm just late.
Because they have kids in
Stupid.
their kitchen, right? With situational selling, sometimes we'll end up in areas within our markets that have, the customers have more pest control than they don't, meaning more homes in that neighborhood already have a service come by regularly to treat their home. And so it is important to be able to then make a switch, because you're going to be seeing a lot of switchovers, right? You're gonna be trying to get those people to switch from their company to our company. And so it definitely helps getting that objection earlier in the sale. And so we do that by substituting the one that Carter taught, the discount phrase, in with the switchover phrase. And so what that's gonna be is perfect, my trucks are in the area, who do you have coming out for your pest control? And they're gonna say, oh yeah, I have X company coming out for my pest control. And in that case, you guys don't know it yet, but we'll go into a switchover pitch at that point, right? But then if they say, no, I don't have anybody coming out with my pest control, then you can actually jump into Carter's discount phrase and then just do the discount phrase, and then you're back to square one, right? So it gets the switchover out in the open way earlier. So I will show that really quick.
And I guess why would that be valuable? Like if you gave the discount pitch to someone that had a company and you said, if I could treat your home for about half, I could treat your home for about half the normal price. And then they say, oh, I already have a company. Why would that keep you out of like control versus assuming that they have a company? Like, why would it be helpful? Yeah.
I feel like they would just disqualify themselves,
Yeah.
and then you're like trying to talk them back, and they're like, I already said no, like,
Yeah.
I'm good.
We're kind of at a disadvantage as salespeople because they're not expecting us to come to the door. Whereas like in a store or something, like they have sales associates, they're expecting the people to come through that are customers, right? And so they're gonna try to trip us up. They're gonna try to find every reason to not buy. So that's why it's really important to switch up that phrase, and you'll see it here with Parker.
Yeah, and just one honest last thought. Some people do prefer to do like the discount phrase or common. I know me and Carter are a little different in that way. Carter, almost every home he knocks, he's gonna lead out with the switchover phrase. For me, I only ever switch over to this phrase if I'm running into a company like every other door, every like 3 doors. It's a little bit matter of style in that case. Either way that you do it, either discount, you're going to be in control of the conversation. So that is the nice part. The responses are predictable. It just allows you to get out their company earlier in the deal. So
Cool.
I'll show it really quick.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
Good. I just got done working with Ryan right here. Has he filled you in on what's going on?
No, what do you guys do with Ryan?
Okay, yeah, no worries. So my trucks are out here today doing the pest control. Who do you guys have come out to treat your home?
Yeah, we actually have Optic coming out.
Cool, yeah. And then I would
Yeah,
go into
great.
a switch over.
Cool. Let's dissect that too.
Sure.
Yeah, what what were some things that, that Parker did really well there? Like one or two things? Yeah, he had a lot of empathy there. Yep, thank you, Adam.
His tonality was cool and calm.
Parker's been doing this a long time. He's a master at it, so.
I think, you match Carter's energy pretty well.
Cool.
I do want to show both of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the switchover phrase, and then he's actually gonna tell me that he doesn't have a company. And then I'm gonna roll into the discount phrase. And I'll just go back. Where I've already said that my trucks are in the area doing pest control, I don't really need to repeat myself. So you'll see a kind of a condensed version of this. But I think it's important to kind of see them work together if the person does say,
Yeah, good idea.
no, so show it one more time.
Hey man, can I help you?
Yeah, I just got done working with Ryan right here.
Okay.
Has he filled you in on what's going on?
No, what are you guys doing?
Okay, no worries. So my trucks are out here doing the pest control. Who do you have come by and treat your home?
We actually don't have anybody coming out for us this year.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Well, I could mention my trucks are out here today. And if we could include you with the neighbors, we could do it for over half off.
Okay, how much would that be?
Yeah, great question.
Nice, good job.
So yeah, that's how you stay like in control the whole time, is if he says no, sweet, I have the discount phrase. If he says yes, eventually you'll know, but we'll have a switch over phrase to go into, so.
Okay, there should be 4 of them. So what's really cool about our pitch is that there shouldn't ever be a time in our pitch or in our sales process where we're guessing where the next step is. We have very predictable responses that we'll get from the customer. That's how our pitch is set up. So if we pitch this way, we know we'll get this response from the customer. So there's a couple buying signs that we'll get. How much is the most obvious one? If someone asks how much something is, that's a money, right? You should see dollar bills.
Be Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, straight up. What are you treating for? Why would you guys think that's a buying sign?
Means that they're aware of bugs in the area.
Yeah, so they could either be aware of bugs in the area, or that they have and they might want treated, or they might be wondering if everyone else has a problem that they should get ahead of, right? There's 2 different plays there. And then there's a couple objections that people will usually give. I already have a company. That's a really common one. And then not interested because, so I don't have the money right now, or I do it myself, or I'm not really seeing any bugs right now. But the key thing here is no matter what, our pitch will always bring out one of these objections or buying signs from a customer, no matter what. So the next part.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to, I tried to do that earlier. but-
Cool. Yeah, overcoming objections.
Cool. So this is the next step. 3 steps to overcoming any objection: empathy, tailored response, and closing. If someone said, yeah, I don't really have a huge issue with bugs, what would one of you veterans have sold before? What would be a good empathy statement to that? Diggy.
I love the no worries one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. A lot of the neighbors aren't seeing a whole lot right now either.
Yeah, a lot of them aren't seeing a whole lot of bug activity right now.
Still got it, dude.
Yeah.
Served the Lord for 2 years. He still does his daily responses like
He's
that.
got no ruts on him at all.
Got
Yeah.
no ruts.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really good one. Why would we want to include that? Why would we not just go right to the meat of what we're trying to get across to a customer? Carter.
People like to feel heard. If you're not gonna hear them out, then they're not gonna listen to it.
Yeah, you come off really salesy and rude, and you kind of bulldoze people up like you've missed that part, right? So a simple like, no worries, I totally understand where you're coming from. It goes a long way. And if you don't include that, usually you can kiss that sale goodbye, usually. And then our tailored response, what would that be? So if someone said, no, I don't really have a problem with bugs right now, no worries, I guess just a thought, it's a little bit early in the season to really be seeing anything at all. To a veteran, what would be a good tailored response? Let's go with Noah, you're smiling at me.
You can sell them on prevention.
Yeah.
Everyone's just getting it done in the neighborhood, but name drop a couple of people, maybe they might like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. So just so you know, most of the neighbors are in here are just getting it done preventatively before the summer kicks in. And then we close, right? So our close is pushing the sale forward. Usually there's a soft close and a hard close. Can someone tell me what the difference might be between those two? What a soft close would sound like? Yeah, so that would be a hard close. Yeah, 100%. So we're like directly asking for their business, right? Whereas a soft close, usually we're asking like a question to gauge their interest level, right?
Like when was the last time you had your home treated preventatively?
Exactly. Yep. So we're trying to gauge where their interest level is, and with that question, we can hopefully close them out. But
Cool, so yeah, not seeing bugs, Carter segue this into
I
this.
probably just ruined this whole slide.
Segued into it, great, it's one thing for them to like hear, it's another to read it, right? Do I have any volunteers, to read, 3 volunteers to read, one of those? Yeah, do you read them?
Yeah. No problem. A lot of the neighbors aren't seeing too many pests right now either, just to fill you in.
Cool. So what does this tell the customer after they've just told you that they're not seeing bugs?
Pretty much is like there's gonna be bugs or whatever. You know, too many pests right now kind of implies that you might be this sooner or later.
Yeah, so yeah, I can say, yeah, a lot of neighbors aren't seeing too many bugs, right? So it's almost agreeing with them, like, hey, no problem, the neighbors aren't seeing bugs either. Okay. What else? I saw another hand, was that pretty much the thought? Yeah, cool. Do I have a volunteer read?
One last thought on that one. I think my take on this is like customers are gonna try to disqualify themselves. I think Brian used that word. And this empathy statement basically says like, no worries, you're actually still qualified, right?
Yeah.
Like, no worries, you actually can have no bugs and still buy pest control. That's basically what you're saying. You're not wording it that way, but that's like that's the idea you're trying to create with what you're saying, right? So like, no problem. A lot of the neighbors, just so you know, aren't seeing too many pests right now either.
Yeah.
Right? You're still qualified. Hear me out. Then I'm gonna share my tailored response.
And that is like the ultimate goal of overcoming these objections, right? Is to like have a tailored response and some empathy that helps them understand that they're still a qualified buyer and this still applies to them, even though their last statement was said, right? Oh, just because you said you don't have bugs does not mean that you shouldn't have pest control, right? Or just because you already have a company doesn't mean that you should switch with our company, right? So these tailored responses are a form of logic that's going to help change that individual's mind on their previous statement. Right? I have a volunteer to read the tailored response. Yeah, Olive.
A lot of them have been doing a preventative treatment since we're here today and doing it for so cheap.
Let's dissect this one just a little bit. What logic is there for the customer to change their mind?
It makes them feel like a little left out if all the neighbors are doing it.
Yeah, so there's some trend involved, right? Like you might not be the smartest neighbor in the neighborhood because all these people are doing it preventatively, right? What else?
Since we're already out there, we can do it for us.
Yeah, so it's bringing back a bit of urgency there, right? The really cool part is what we teach, like the first year reps is very simple ways to overcome these objections. When you start to get comfortable and this is like your skeleton, right? And when you start to get comfortable, you can start putting a little bit more meat on the bones and having a little bit more logic. This to me is very minimal logic. It'll work, and it does work. It's really effective. But when you do get better and you start finding things out about their area, you can add little things about the weather or
Construction.
about construction or the age of their homes, right? And just different things that can help bring more logic to it. I have gotten the past not seeing bugs a million times by just saying this, but sometimes for a customer, it does help to have a little bit more logic placed. And then the soft close, I'll just read this one. When is the last time you've had the home treated? Why would that be a good question to ask that customer? Maybe from a vet that's done this before. Tyler?
It just keeps the conversation going, so that way you know more information as well to then give them another tailored response over time.
Yeah. Maybe give me an example, like what could they say here that would be useful for you?
They could say that they've never had it treated, so you know they're DIY, or they could say that they had it treated a couple of years ago, so you know that they trust in pest control.
Yeah, if they've had their home treated before, they actually see some value in having pest control in their home, right? If they've never had their home treated, you might take more of an educational approach to what the next thing that you say, maybe educating them why these neighbors are doing the preventative treatment this year. So, Carter, do you want to show this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Here, I share the love, I got to do too.
Yeah, might as well.
Cool. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I'm gonna be starting up a ton of work here on Highland Drive with Bobby and a few of the neighbors.
Okay.
Has he told you what's going on yet?
No, he hasn't told me anything.
So my truck is gonna be doing the pest control over the next 2 days. Who do you guys have coming out to do that?
Actually, we don't have anybody treating home.
You wanna do the not seeing bugs?
Yeah, let's just, so do that, I'll say no, and then you do the discount and then I'll say yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry, I kind of,
Cool.
I get a longer version. You
Okay.
didn't expect that, but
Well, man, if I could fit you in while my truck is around doing Bob's house, I could do it for half the normal price.
yeah, I appreciate the offer for sure, but I'm not seeing any bugs around home.
Yeah, no worries. Honestly, it is a little bit early in the season to be seeing anything at all, honestly. Just so you know, though, most of the neighbors are just getting it done preventatively before the summer actually kicks in. When was the last time you guys had a treatment on the home?
Yeah, I think it's been like 10 years since we've had a treatment.
Then you guys are for sure due for it.
Cool.
Yeah, if I could fit you in, like I said, I would do it for super cheap.
Okay, yeah, how much is that?
Yeah, good question.
So
Yeah.
good.
That was awesome. So yeah, let's dissect it a little bit. Carter does this at a high
I
level.
need,
That was good.
There was some really cool stuff. I mean, he didn't stick exactly to this, right? And so maybe somebody in the crowd mentioned something that stood out to you, and then I might have a few things to mention about what Carter did there. But what stood out to you guys?
I mean, you just kind of turned your objection into like, oh yeah, perfect, like that's exactly the way you should buy.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, nobody's seen bugs, like, yeah, the logic of it's early in the spring and people are just doing it preventatively, and then just circled right back to just the close right there to keep the conversation rolling.
Yeah.
Like, just instead of just sitting there.
What did you guys notice, like body language wise, when I told him that I wasn't seeing bugs? Did you guys see any reaction from his body language?
He's nodding his head, he was like, he's like, yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah, he didn't have like this response of like, whoa, bro, you know, like I've never heard that ever before in my life. He was like, bro, cool. Yeah, I've heard this a million times, right? Like that's what all the neighbors have been telling me all day long, right? So the way that he portrays body tells me that's exactly why he's here, is because there's no bugs in our neighborhood, right? Like that's his job, is to keep bugs away, right? Anybody else have any thoughts? Did you have one there?
I was gonna say, you can use those empathy statements almost as soft closes, right? So you can say, yeah, that's exactly what your neighbors said. So then you empathize in a really big way, because they're like, oh, great, I'm not an idiot, but I'm not seeing bugs. I'm like anybody else. And you are also giving them an opportunity to say yes again, because they're back into a need situation.
I think that's also a good time to like name drop someone again too. Like you could say, no worries, honestly, Bob, who I actually treat, has said the same thing. Yeah, that's a great thought there.
I have one thought from Lee. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, especially for like the first year sellers, like how well following empathize Taylor response top close, like I didn't believe it that well, like my first time going out, but you are going to get the responses that you've heard a million times. Like if you practice this, you are going to funnel them to say what you want to hear. Like it truly does help to follow step by step. So just to reiterate from someone who's done it before for those first years that this is the key right here.
Cool. I saw Diggy sell many accounts in the old Maryland neck of the woods.
Okay, now we want to practice, so, hopefully over the next like 20 to 30 minutes, we want to break up into groups with our managers, whoever's your leader, we'll break up into groups and start role playing. So most of you guys can fit in here just so you can see the screen, but we can move out into the hallway too if we need to, but.
Cool, and I think just the last thing to mention, all of these are available on Slack. Like this exact presentation that we just did tonight is on Slack. So if you didn't get a picture of this, take one right now, but you can also always refer back to Slack under All Point Pros. It'll have all of these slides and all these words, so.
I think before we break out, I'd love to hear just a couple takeaways from tonight, because we're not getting back together after, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe just a couple takeaways, like what you guys learned tonight. Just maybe two or three, just through the whole training. Yeah.
I guess the biggest takeaway for me would probably be like,
Conversation. It makes you feel like
why are you even working?
Yeah.
just a salesperson.
Strong empathy statements, in my opinion, are the thing that allow you to sell the higher hanging fruit harder customers. So like most reps will sell the 1-2 a day that like, it's like, I have ants everywhere. What do you charge? Like, right, that type of a customer. But the customers that are tougher, that's why these guys are so good, is they feel human, they empathize. A customer's like, they feel heard, and then they're willing to like hear thoughts that are contrary to what they initially said, So empathy is super big. If you're not empathizing properly, then you're basically arguing with customers. The customer will feel like you are arguing with them. And you can kind of get away with murder if you empathize really well. Like you can like go pretty hard in the paint with some like tailored response, like because they just feel heard, and then they're like, I'll hear you out, and then you share something that's totally opposite of what their opinion was, right? So yeah.
I think another thing is you see that throughout the whole time you're maintaining control of the conversation. And I think that's really big because that confidence that gives you, they will see that, and that builds trust immediately. Them seeing that you're confident and seeing that you have that control, I think that builds a lot of trust. And this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I love that.
True.
Any others?
I think we have
I think my biggest takeaway would probably be that you should be persistent without being pushy. That seemed like kind of the gist of what we were getting today. I mean, not to oversimplify it, but
I like it. Cool. Yeah. Who was that?
That was Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Cool.
Yes.
I was just gonna share on this point, like you're gonna have nerves on the doors, and the best thing you can do, right, is show up knowing, like if they say, what are you treating for? If they give a certain type of objection, like you can show up knowing, kind of like, okay, if they say this, I say this. And that's why we've seen, all these guys would say the same thing. We have seen so many people that you wouldn't think of like as like extremely naturally talented salespeople that do really, really good at this job because they take the training and this stuff really seriously, and they know their responses. And so if you're really casual with the training and just like the pitch, then you'll probably get casual results. If you become a student of it and it's like, hey, there's this one objection I'm just not getting good results with, I'm going to learn it or spend time with one of these really good reps and get really good responses with it and then implement that, man, your potential is amazing. So
just to add on to that too, I think there's going to be a temptation right now as a rookie to like create your own responses in your own mind with a lot of like in your tailored response. But I love what Parker said, that this is like the skeleton. Learn the skeleton first, once you have that memorized and down, then you can make it your own and put some meat onto it, so. Any last takeaways?